This is Smarter San Diego TV.
Millennials and baby boomers alike, they want to be in urban environments right now.
Thank God for the Electoral College vote.
In a 4-hour breakfast, we raised $9,000. So that's something that we take pretty seriously.
And you can't diet your way into being lean and fit. They go together.
In New York City, deciding what's best for the rest of the freaking country.
This is not a market built on a stack of cards. It's a solid foundation.
That is a thumbs up.
Everyone has a life worth telling a story about. And the more adversity that you faced, the deeper your story.
Well, am I going to be okay? Am I going to be able to walk?
There's just so much creativity in this town that it's hard to hide it.
Well, you have these beliefs. Well, what do you do with it?
Our next guests are very passionate about an upcoming event that aims to bring the community together. Please welcome real estate expert and assistant pastor, Gabe Mendez, and his special guest, Pastor Richard Cisco.
All right, welcome to the show. Welcome back, Gabe.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show, Pastor Cisco.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. You guys are doing some incredible work. I want to give you an opportunity to talk about it today. Huge event coming up. Who wants to tell us a little bit about the ministry?
I'll step in a little bit, and then I'll let Pastor Cisco take over afterwards. The San Diego Lowrider Gospel Fest Ministries, it's not just a single person. It isn't just a family ministry. It really is a collective effort on everyone's behalf. It's just a bunch of different community leaders, pastors, churches, government agencies, the police department, people, everyone wanting to come together to see a better San Diego, and hopefully to influence not just San Diego, but California. We know the rest of the United States, as everyone needs it everywhere.
Yeah.
So it really just is a collective effort is who we are. And the mission's simple, to go out there and to spread the gospel and to help people. And I'll let Pastor Cisco to kind of elaborate a little more on that, but that's what we are and who we are.
Okay. Well, how did we get here? I mean, it's what's the story?
Well, the Lowrider Gospel Fest, I'm going to be straight up, Gabe's my son, and I was incarcerated. And God got a hold of my life. And when he got a hold of my life, he told me, hey, you're going to do the Lowrider Gospel Fest. I like lowriders. And I said, wow, how? It's a big mission. And he, a lot of people, how does God talk to you? He spoke to me in a vision, a dream. And I got out, and he says, go to PD, go to the police department. That was the first thing. I said, the police department? That's crazy. It don't make sense. And so I hustled a ride. I hustled a ride at the police department and told them what I want to do. I said, I want to bring the whole community together, and I need you guys involved because you guys are part of the community, especially with all the chaos that's going on. And the Word of God is telling me, bless the community. I said, well, I don't want to sell hot dogs. I don't want to sell tacos. I don't want to sell burritos. I want to sell nothing. I want to give. And then God put it upon my heart that it's going to be done. PD, when I told the police department the police department the first thing they told me, we've been waiting for something like this. And they said, can you come tomorrow? And I, like I said, I just got out. And I says, okay, I'm going to need a ride. And they said, we'll pick you up. That was the first time I rode in a police car legally. It felt very uncomfortable. I wanted to sit in the back, no, sit in the front. And they picked me up and they brought the city councilman and all that. And the next thing you know, they jumped in, opened up all their facilities, and we started hustling. We started hitting the streets. We didn't have no church, no budget, no finance, nothing. We started hustling. But I just not magically, it's a miracle. I just saw God move, open doors to the schools. Different pastors started coming in, and I says, I want to serve 3,000, 4,000, free. I want to feed them, not just tell them that God loves them. I want them to go home feeling happy, filled, and all that. And not only that, bring the hood together, bring the community together. I want to see that. There's a lot of chaos with PD, and it happened. It worked. PD opened the facilities. Gang members were coming to the meetings. The mafia were coming to the meetings. The family members were coming to the meetings. Everybody were blown out of their minds. And even myself, I go, wow. The room was packed. The conference room was packed. I go, wow. And it took off. Lowriders, they were hesitant at first also to bring their cars into the hood They said, wow, how are we going to bring these, $1,000, $15,000, $20,000 cars, $40,000 cars that they invest in lowriders. But I wanted them so the kids can come, the gang members can come, and so that later on that we as ministers and pastors can work with them, share with them, and meet that need, not only verbally but physically. They're eating, and show them that hey, God loves them. God loves them, and we love them. And we can come together. And last but not least, PD was one of my main focuses that God had put in my heart. Bring the police department in. Bring them in. They're part of the community. And I says, okay. And then when they came in, to find them out that they're simple people, man. They got a husband, wives, sons, and daughters. They brought them to the Gospel Fest. I go, wow. Gang members were there, and I looked at it, I go, wow, man, this is huge. I mean, it took off. Took out like fire. So pastors from out of town, different cities were looking at it. How did you do this? How did it going on? Well, it was one of the biggest events in San Diego. And because I went to the Gospel Fest, I go, wow. And it grew. We all grew it. And so my goal, one of my main goals was to target gang members because I specialize in gangs. And they came. I go, wow, look at them all there. Very peaceful, very good setting. That's what I wanted. Not just everybody looking around or enjoying themselves, having a good time. Like my son says, food bank came in, pallets, tons of food to give out. Barbers came in, free haircuts, free clothing, free everything, concert, Christian rap, Christian soul, Christian Mexican music, all that, gospel. But, hip gospel. It took off. It just took off and it grew. So we outgrew the facility and we had to move to the main place, which was
Jeremy Henwood Park.
Yeah, Officer Jeremy Henwood Park, they called it now. That's the officer that got shot. We partook in his funeral. We helped out in security. Families came in from out of town. It was a sad thing. So lowriders even helped out. And I said, man, it's sad. And I said, we need to come in as a ministry that we're making an impact. And show them that, hey, they're not the enemy, man. It's not. It's what's happening out there. It's a foul spirit. It's ugly, and it's not right. And me as a pastor, and God's put it upon my heart, we're gonna do what we can, and on their behalf for the community. And so it grew. We took it to Officer Jeremy Henwood. He calls Rosa Park, and it grew bigger. And I just went out by faith. The Lord put it. You're gonna feed 5,000. This year. I said 5,000. I go, wow, Lord, 5,000 family. That's a lot. You're gonna have to come. And then I needed help too. And people would come out. Hey, he did it once already, Cisco. I go, yeah, you're right, huh? He did it already. I said, how are we gonna get the permits? How are we gonna get the finances for this and that? I said, well, he did it once, all right. So yeah, we went through the rhythm of going to the boards, and all, et cetera, and all
the
that.
red tape.
Pardon me? Yeah, the red tape, all the red tape, and raising their hands, all they're in favor. They paid for it. They paid for the $1 million insurance policy and all that. I don't have a penny. I don't have a building, all right? My son bought me my car, all right? And but God put it upon my heart. And it came. And next thing you know, we're at Rosa Park, Jeremy Henwood Park, and it grew. And PD got heavily involved. Really.
So we have, and the next one's coming up, right?
Yeah, next summer. This summer 2017.
Wow, so people could get involved now because obviously to do that, you're going to need a lot of assistance.
Right.
It's
So
a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of work.
Yes.
A lot of money is needed.
Yes.
We'll put the link on the screen for anyone who wants to get involved. You can donate just by going to the link that's on the screen right now. We'll also hyperlink it if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube. This link will be below in the description, so you can just simply click it there. But it's obviously it's a Herculean task.
Yes.
To be able to pull all this off because all of the resources that are needed, and then of course all the marketing that's needed to let people know about the fact that this exists. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think you said it, Pastor Cisco, you said that you're a hustler. So you're going to get out there. If people it can help with the resources,
right.
You'll get out there and you'll do the hard work of knocking on the doors,
right.
Getting through the red tape.
Right. Get hit, doing the footwork, doing all the footwork with the gangs, the communities, police department. We get out there and get ready to serve the community, especially after what happened with Ferguson, and all the riots and all that. And then I saw it as a tool. I go, wow, we're really making an impact. Everybody's seeing it. and they're going home grateful. You're hearing it. You're hearing it from the little kids to the gang members to the families. They're going, wow. Even PD, they're going, wow. And yeah, it takes finances.
Yeah.
It takes finances.
But it's a lot of fun, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
The first one that we threw together was at Cherokee Point Elementary School. I believe I was 22 years old, 23 years old. Showed up there, tons of music, tons of cars, tons of food. It was a good time, a good spirit. Seeing police officers walking around, in their uniform, but just a humble spirit about them. Seeing town council members there, in their suits walking around, and everyone just interacting. There's a peace about it. People leave happy, they leave filled. It's just fun, and we want to let everyone out there, hey, there's a different perspective. Come out, join the event. If you just want to be there just to partake in the event, partake in the event. But if there's a feeling in your heart, there's a feeling in your gut, it's pulling you to do more, get involved. We need volunteers, we need the resources, whatever it is, however you can assist us, whether it's food, clothes, music, a car, whatever it might be, DJ system, generators, jumpers for kids. We have all that, face painting for clowns, a barber to cut hair. Contact us, reach out, be a part of the Gospel Fest team. It's more than just that. The police department's involved. We're moving forward, and we're really just trying to take a stance and really just trying to empower and help people out and spread that message. It's a beautiful thing. And
fantastic
Derek,
stuff.
you and the whole team have to come out there.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. We'll definitely be there. And if you can, if like Gabe said, if something's pulling you to do something more, maybe you can donate your time. Maybe you can donate some money. Maybe you can donate some resources to help this great event. If you want to do that, do it right now. Follow the link on the page or in the description below, and you'll be able to find the Facebook page there where you can make your donations. Guys, thank you so much for coming today. Really appreciate the great work.
Thank you.
Fantastic stuff.
Thank you so much.
Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Can you time the real estate market? Our next guest is here with some advice. Please welcome our San Diego real estate expert, Voltaire Lepe.
There he is, Mr. Lepe. What's going on, my man?
Not much.
Good to see you. Today we're going to talk about how to time the real estate market. Now, a lot of people, I'm just going to warn you, have said, don't try to time the real estate market.
Right.
They've said that. They've come on the show and said, don't try to time the real estate market. It's too difficult.
Right.
Today you're going to have a solution for us. We'll talk about where the market's at.
We're going to talk about that.
But you think that you can teach people how to actually time the market?
Well, I think I have some really good advice to give to people about doing that, because that's all I hear all the time from different buyers and different sellers, and it's natural. People want a crystal ball. They want to know what's going to happen in the future. They want to make as much money as possible or pay as little as possible. So hopefully we could, talk about that today. And I have a couple of case studies that I'm going to share. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I like it. Well, let's start with kind of where we are right now here at the end of 2016 and where you think we're headed for 2017.
Yeah. So right now, 2016, the fourth quarter, it's kind of like a lot of holiday seasons where things are a little bit slower. There's still a lot of sellers out there selling. People that are selling right now, they're selling because they have a need. They need to sell. They're not just out there testing the market, in November and December.
Right.
So it's a good opportunity for buyers to go out there and buy a property. Interest rates, they're low, historically low. If you look at the last 46 years, we're in the 70s, 1970s, they averaged 8%, and then in the 80s, 12%, and then back to 8% in the 90s, and then the 2006%. Right now, we're hovering right at 4%. Even though they jumped up a couple of weeks ago after the elections, they jumped up half a point. But it's still a really good time to get a mortgage. And with the activity out there, if you're a seller, you put your house on the market, most likely you'll have a couple of offers. You'll have a multiple offer situation. So it's still a seller's market. It's not a buyer's market yet. It won't be until we have a lot more inventory. So right now, as far as there's three things to think about when it comes to real estate market. So one is interest rates, right? So the rates are good. The second one is inventory. And the inventory, we're still negative inventory. I think last time I checked, we're negative 10,500 residential units in San Diego.
Wow.
Yeah, so we need to build more. I think actually we might have talked about that
Probably.
6 months ago with multifamily guest that came on.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're negative 10,000 residential units. So, once the builders start to build and then we have, more inventory, then usually what happens is we have a surplus of inventory. And then at that point, that's when it becomes the buyer's market.
I'm worried that that'll never happen because I think the builders right now, or at least what I'm seeing, is they're building rentals.
Right.
And not homes that are for sale. So when we talk about inventory, we're talking about homes that are for sale,
right,
that someone might be able to buy. And we do have a housing crisis. In other words, we don't have enough units for the number of people that are coming here.
Correct.
But I think those units are being filled in. The builders are going, wait a minute, why should we take any risk for a market crash or anything like that? Let's just build these units in high rises and rent them out. Let the 10-year period of litigation pass, and then we can sell them if we want to, or we can just sell it to a REIT or whatever.
Right.
So I'm worried that we'll never see a buyer's market in San Diego again, Voltaire.
Yeah, I mean, that is a possibility. And the reason why is because the weather, man. I mean, really, man. I mean, I've traveled a lot all around the world, really nice places. And every place that I've ever been to, I could never really say to myself, oh, this is better than San Diego. It's always like, oh, well, San Diego is, 70 something and, it's a lot better. So with the weather attracting a lot of people, being on the West Coast, Navy Town and all that, I mean, a lot of people want to move here. So that's one reason why, there isn't much inventory. A lot of people want to buy here and they're buying. So prices, interest rates, inventory, and then that affects the prices. So there's a lot of people that feel that prices may go down. And you hear this a lot, whether it's because even before the elections, people are just saying, oh, it's that bubble, the real estate bubble. That's what a lot of people always talk about. And, it sells newspapers and it's good for headlines. But the reality of it is, I don't think we're in a real estate bubble, and, I read articles every month and they interview like the top 100 economists in the country, top real estate people all around the country. And most people have a good outlook for 2017.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be, good. I think prices are still going to rise. That's a lot of people are projecting 7 to 10%. Prices are going to change from 2016 to 2017. I'm not sure if it's going to be that high, but I think that prices are still going to continue to go up. And I think there's going to be plenty of buyers for all the homes that people are selling. I mean, rates, again, historically, they're super low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think there's opportunities for buyers too in areas like where your office is, for example.
Yeah.
Down in the Golden Hill, Barrio Logan area. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. You're already seeing tons of gentrification and cool new stuff. It's becoming like a hip spot. It reminds me of what North Park looked like when I first moved here.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot
of... It really does.
Yeah, there's a lot of artists down there that are moving down there, a lot of millennials, hipsters, yuppies. I mean, there's a lot of, and really those are the people that go in there, they push their rents up because now maybe they're not in a position to buy, but they're paying from what used to be a $1,500 a month rent to all of a sudden they're paying $1,800, $2,000. So rents for sure drive value.
Yeah.
So all the rents are going up. I don't see that stopping anytime soon. Again, we're negative 10,000 units in San Diego. So with rents going up, that's going to, when people go to sell their apartment buildings or people go to sell their investment properties and they have tenants in there paying a certain amount of rent, that dictates the value of that building. Yeah, directly.
Well, based on all that,
yeah,
how do we use this information to time the market?
All right, good. So when I meet buyers, okay, they go, well, I kind of want to wait. I think the market's going to go down, right? I still know some buyers that have been waiting since 2011, 2012. They would have bought back then. They would have basically doubled their equity in the home. So, homes back then that they were passing up on that were 300, 400,000 now, they're worth 400, 500, 600,000. So one of the biggest mistakes I feel people do is they try to time it. Just like you referenced before, it's impossible to time it, right? So if you're buying, you should be buying for the reason that you need a place to live in, right? You need a place, if you're renting, you're basically throwing your money away, unless you have a strategic plan that you're saving up money and your rent's super low. So as far as buyers are concerned, if you need a place to buy, or let's say there's a lot of people that I meet that have $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 in their bank account. They're earning basically zero interest, right? A few bucks a year in interest on that money. So instead of having it in the bank account, hey, real estate is expensive. It's San Diego, and a lot of people complain about that. Real estate's so expensive, right? They should just get that money, $100,000, put it on in the property as a down payment. Now all of a sudden they're making, $500 a month in cash flow. That's $6,000 a year. Okay, so I think people just have to come to a realization that we do live in San Diego. Prices are expensive, and they shouldn't try to time the market. If it's a smart move, it's a smart move, right?
So make a better business decision.
Better business decisions. Now,
if it's buying a small condo, cash, and renting that out, or buying an investment property, or buying a home,
right,
that will cost you less than rent and give you some tax write-offs. There's ways that what I'm hearing from you is don't worry about timing the market as when's the best time to buy or the best time to sell. Worry about making a decision that's a good decision for you at that time.
Exactly. So I think that's the most important part. And a big factor in that is affordability. If you could afford your payment, if you're still able to go out to movies and enjoy nights out to dinner with your family and things like that, hey, it's probably a good deal, because eventually 30 years from now, you're going to look back in hindsight, you're going to say, wow, that was a good deal. And I thought I was buying at the peak.
Right. Everyone always thinks they're buying at the peak.
Everyone always
thinks
thinks
in the 70s, they thought they were buying at the peak.
Exactly.
In the early 90s, they thought they were buying at the peak here in San Diego.
Yeah.
That's just not there. We still haven't peaked.
Yeah, and you know what? I have clients that bought in the 70s, and they're telling me, yeah, my payment used to be $30 a month. And I'm like, looking at them like, $30 a month? And they're like, yeah, but it was tough. We had to save. We couldn't go out and overspend and things. And so it's the same thing that's happening now.
Mm-hmm.
But 30 years from now, after they pay off their mortgage, with appreciation, but with inflation, really, right? Their property is going to be worth a lot more, and they're going to look back and they're going to go, wow, I own that property free and clear. I might have bought a couple of investment properties along the way. So that's on the buyer side, right? I think it's a good time to buy. I think it's never going to be the perfect time to buy, which a lot of people wait for.
Is there a seller side of this too?
Yes. So on the seller side, there's a lot of sellers that try to time the market. I'll give you two examples, okay? I know some really smart guys. They were partners, right? Combined about 50 to 60 years in the real estate business as partners. They picked up some really nice, valuable pieces of property in downtown San Diego. Right when the ballpark started getting built and all that stuff. And the appreciation on those properties just went through the roof. So now we're in 2006, 2007, right? They're trying to time the market. They're saying, okay, we think it's going to continue to go up, right? And they had some really good offers from developers. Long story short, they just waited too long, right? The real estate bubble, it popped, market crashed. Their properties weren't cash flowing the way that they should have been, and next thing you know, they lost the property. And now, 2016, that real estate is more valuable than it was in 2006 when they got their best offer yet. So that's when timing the market goes wrong, because if really smart guys that accumulated a lot of wealth can't figure it out, it's really tough for the average person to figure it out that doesn't do real estate on a regular basis. And even for people that are experts and are in real estate all the time, a lot of people lost a lot of money in 2007, 2008. So I think we just got to learn from other people's mistakes that are a lot smarter than us and that had a lot more experience. It's just really tough to time the market.
No question. And that is a great way to wrap the Smarter San Diego segment about real estate and timing the market. It's more about time in the market than timing the market. Voltaire, thank you so much for your time today, man. Really appreciate it. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Foreclosures are on the rise, and no one seems to be talking about it. That's why our next guest is on the set. Please welcome Senior Loan Officer at Cornerstone Mortgage Group, Christian Griffin.
There he is. Welcome back, Christian.
Thank you very much.
How you doing,
Appreciate
man?
it. Doing very well.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
Yes, I see you did your hair extra special for us today.
You know what? Sometimes it's its own thing, so I just let it take its form.
You and me both.
Yeah.
Look at us.
At least it's there, you know?
It could be worse.
Yes.
So a couple things kind of on the table right now. Sure. Post-election rate jump. This has definitely got to be something we're going to have to talk about today.
Absolutely.
And also that article that Sean actually sent to both of us. Right. I think it was a Business Insider article, but it was about foreclosures that are starting to ramp up in certain pockets around the country, and no one wants to talk about it. Right. So one thing that Sean is all about, as you know, is talking about those things. Like, sure. Whatever's real, that's what he wants to talk about. Yep. And I love that. And it's great to have you here today as well to discuss those things. So this foreclosure data, first and foremost, is there anything in there that would lead you to believe that you saw, I read the same article you did, is there anything in there that would lead you to believe that there's a potential issue around the corner for San Diego?
You know, it's funny. I think on the bigger picture, it might be an issue nationwide in the future. Maybe not so much for San Diego or California, just because of we're a destination location. But it is something to be, I think, concerned about. You know, one of the points of the article was seeing a 27% increase in foreclosure filings from September to October of this year, which from what I can remember, I think it's the biggest jump that they've seen since it was 2009. So that's alarming. But to answer you directly, I think San Diego might be a little
insulated. Yeah,
a little insulated.
I agree with you there. I think that big percentage jump, also has to do with the fact that the foreclosure filings were so low, you know, so it's easier to get a bigger percentage jump. But at the same time, whenever you see that, especially right before the holidays, it's like, wait a minute, you know, this is the time where you expect people to be making their payments, not wanting to get kicked out of their houses.
Right, exactly.
So that was the kind of made me do the cockeye thing, like, well, huh? Right. This is what happened last time. Last time foreclosures started, it was a whole year or more before everyone accepted the fact that real estate wasn't just going to go up.
Right.
And so it started off in different pockets, you know, places that were overbuilt and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, well, yeah, that's why they foreclosed. It's because it's over there.
Right.
It's not here.
Right.
Eventually did get here.
True.
And did hit us pretty hard. I think the circumstance is different. But I think the big thing in that article that was different, you know, and everyone's been saying, you know, you just have to fully qualify for mortgages these days. You don't have to, you can't just, you know, have a credit score and get a loan. And that's true.
Right.
But my concern is more about the fact that people can still qualify for too much home.
True.
If they aren't advised properly, they can still end up buying too much home, and with very little money down through government programs like VA and FHA, for example. True. And that's where they're seeing a lot of this foreclosure activity exists.
Right.
So is that something that you see? Are people who are getting FHA and VA loans, are they buying too much home?
You know, that remains to be seen, I think. I do feel like on these programs, like you mentioned, FHA and VA, it is, you know, little money down, less skin in the game. So if you do see a turn in, you know, the economy and the housing market slows down a little bit and maybe even reverses a little bit, depending on where you're at. I think that's probably where you're seeing a lot of this spike, are areas that you're not seeing the equity in houses grow as they did. They might actually be going backwards a little bit. So with that 3.5% down FHA or 0, you know, 100% financing for VA, if you see the housing market switch a little bit, then you're underwater. I think that's probably where you're seeing the spike, but it is something that's different, and we want to make sure that's not, you know, becoming a plague across the U.S.
Yeah, it's all about the water level. This is how I look at it. So like imagine a mountain range, okay?
Right.
The highest mountain range over here, let's call it La Jolla, even though that's not necessarily the best, or Rancho Santa Fe, all right? And then, you know, you have this, and then you have some of these valley markets, the markets that are going to be the first ones to tank. And as the water level rises, those lower lying markets are the ones that go out first. Yep. And they exist everywhere. So it could be, you know, it could be Temecula.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's foreclosure in Temecula. And then all of a sudden, Fallbrook.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, Oceanside. And then Carlsbad. And then it's everywhere.
Right, exactly.
And so I think we've got time. But I think the smart people will take notice to that data and go, okay, let me take a look at this. Let me make sure I'm not buying in one of those valley areas. Let me make sure I'm not buying in one of those areas that's the first to go down. Let's make sure I'm buying in a place that withstood the last crash well.
Right.
And there's places like that all over San Diego County. They just simply don't fluctuate that much.
Right.
Carmel Valley, for example. Even Del Mar didn't take that big of a hit, even though things have slowed down in Del Mar. So there's certain places where I think you can avoid it, and it's good to heed those warnings.
True.
But now if we compile that with the post-election rate bump, how much ground did we lose?
You know what? I want to say probably about a half a point.
In rate?
In rate.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we probably moved a half a point. It's actually starting to recover a little bit, which is a good sign. You know, it kind of shocked, I think, a lot of people on how quick things changed. There actually was probably even, it went a direction that people would have bet it didn't.
Right.
So it took a lot of people by surprise, buyers and lenders. You know, if you were dealing with a lender that didn't lock before the election, then I'm sure you're probably saying some not choice words about that person. But yeah, it was pretty immediate from basically election night to current day. And I think it's probably swung at least about a half a point. That being said, I've been kind of keeping an eye on it because you've got people that are pre-approved and looking to purchase, and they're always wondering what the rates are. And we've seen a little recovery in the last few days.
Okay.
So nothing significant, but enough to show that maybe we're going to regain a little bit that was lost.
You can't really lock, though, until you're in escrow, right? I mean, until you have an offer accepted.
True, and that is true. So the people, you know, before the election, maybe they were in escrow and they were floating, just not locked yet, because at that time the market had creeped up a little bit, and you know there might have been some expectations that the market was going to go ahead. I mean, you saw election night, futures were tanking.
It was like they were down 1,000.
I was ready to buy some stock the next morning.
No kidding.
But
I was ready to buy it that night, get on the futures market.
Yep, exactly. And everybody woke up, and lo and behold, stocks were going through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the people that didn't have the rate locked, you know, basically took the brunt of that if they were in escrow. So.
But that being the bad news, I guess the good news is rates are still roughly, if you fully qualify, about 4%-ish, would you say?
Yep.
Yeah, give or take.
So it's, I mean, it's still really low.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that's like Monday morning quarterback. I mean, shoot, the $400 million lottery somebody won, I think, in Tennessee, and I've already spent that money, and I know a lot of numbers now, but you know you can't play that game, so you just can't look in the past. But historically, rates are super low.
Yeah, they're super low, and I think that all the people who passed up on the 3.5, especially people out there who didn't refinance, they're the ones who really missed out.
Yeah.
Hopefully, not too many of them did, but we know there are a lot of people who did, and so. For buyers, now you just have to you have to recalibrate potentially what you're able to qualify for, right? Because this could affect that and may change the houses you're able to look at.
True, very true. You know, that's a conversation. It's to tie back into that foreclosure data. One of the conversations I have with my buyers is, hey, you know what, this is what you qualify for. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to purchase at that price point. You know, I really try. I got my degree in education, so I enjoy putting everything on the table and letting my buyers make decisions. But I'll also make sure to give my 2 cents as well. And I'll say, hey, you know what, house rich, cash poor, usually not the best scenario, especially in a market that's changing. So let's look at different options and obviously let the buyers make the decision.
Yeah, ultimately it's their decision.
Yeah.
All you can do is give them the information.
Exactly.
Great stuff. Mr. Griffin, thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Your time.
Thank you, sir.
Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Our next guest is joining us here at Smarter San Diego for the first time, and she'd like to share the current state of the North County Inland Market. Let's welcome Realtor and Global Property Specialist, Sandra Lufgren.
She is. Welcome to the show, Sandra. Nice to have you.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Okay, so North County Inland Real Estate Market. First of all, let's define that. What areas are we talking about specifically?
So we're talking about kind of Poway, Rancho Bernardo, Rancho Penasquitos, Scripps Ranch. Yeah, I would include those in that.
So the 15 corridor.
Yeah, 15 corridor, yeah.
Okay. Big area.
So, yes.
A lot of homes.
Definitely.
Tens of thousands. So it's it's always hard to define a specific market that's that big, right? But you've got data.
I do.
That tells us some stuff.
I do have data.
That's really interesting.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, so what's going on right now in the 15? So what we're talking about, let's talk about $1 million and under, kind of, because there's still a difference, once you go above the $1 million. The inventory is extremely low right now. I mean, it's 1.4 months as opposed to 3 only 2 years ago.
Wow.
So that's
1.4 months of inventory right now?
1.4 in the under $1 million.
So in 6 weeks, if no new homes came on the market, we'd have none.
We have none, yeah.
Wow.
But we are seeing some homes coming on the market now. People are starting to pick up, even though it's the holidays. We see more people are listing, and people are really buying again, after the election. The interest rates are slowly creeping up, which is, kind of a reason for people wanting to sell and kind of still make top dollar, and some people still wanting to buy and get in at the low
4% rates, yeah.
4% rates.
What do you think that little jump we had in the rates after the election, is that going to hurt prices, do you think? Is that hurting buyers out there?
We haven't seen that, really. Some buyers, though, they have to adjust a little bit of kind of what their buying capacity is. We're seeing that they're going, oh, shoot, now I need to adjust a little bit, and, with the down payment and all that stuff, and the interest rate goes up, and just affordability. But we've seen a little bit, it kind of dropped a little bit the other day. Again, got under the 4, so we'll see. Hopefully we'll get a little bit steady now, and we can. I mean, it's not like it was 10 years ago. We're still really doing well.
It's amazing.
Yeah, still really well. But people they got a little bit spoiled this past year. Just low 3s. So.
Anything under 6% is amazing.
Absolutely.
We're at 4.
I agree.
So we're in great shape.
Yeah.
The thing that's crazy though is that how quickly the rates have gone up. So I don't. Was it 3 years ago? I think it's 3 summers ago in 2013. Interest rates went up a point in a week.
Yeah.
And it didn't quite make sense. I mean, we had fiscal cliff, and we had a lot of different things going on at that time, but it was so fast and so violent. And this one also felt like that. Not as big of a head jerk, but still very quick and there's a half point, bye-bye.
Absolutely, and I think that's what scares people a little bit, the uncertainty or what's going on. But, I mean, the prices speak for itself. Just in North Inland Corridor, we've seen from 2014 till today, the average sales price have gone from low 600s to almost 700. So prices are still increasing. Obviously, seems like we're heading into a shift a little bit, and that's going to be, as the interest rate goes up, prices adjust down a little bit, and kind of stabilizes. But we're not going to see any, there's not going to be a crash, one. I'm obviously I don't have a crystal ball, but there's no crash.
It doesn't appear as though the circumstances would line up for a crash.
Absolutely not. The lenders don't. The lenders don't, and I think that's what people always ask you. What is the market like? What's happening? And I think that's important to explain, that the lenders are not giving out those loans anymore. It's a lot more stricter. However, what we're seeing is the lenders are not getting any, or the builders not getting any loans, so they're not building as much new construction. So that's also another factor that we have really low inventory.
Right, yeah, and the inventory they're building seems to be
sitting
multifamily
that
stuff
too. Yeah.
that is not for sale, and it's just rentals. So it's helping the crisis that we have as far as number of units in San Diego, but it's not helping home buyers.
Absolutely.
So what do you think then for 2017? I mean, if I'm a home buyer, what's your advice for me going into this new market?
I think that I usually tell, especially if they're first-time home buyers, just buy something, get into it, build your equity. I think that's important. Take advantage of these low interest rates. We don't know how long they're going to last. I still think it's a good time to act. 2017, I mean, we were telling people, even before the election, people say, we're hanging tight, we're going to see what's going to happen. So, well, I'm telling you, this is really, really low rates. It's time to act. And people waited, and now everybody, is kind of panicking a little bit. So,
buy something you can afford. Buy something you can comfortably afford.
Absolutely, and I think that's so important because people like to extend. A lender is, sometimes keen on giving you more than you can actually afford in your everyday life. So it's really important to go over that and see what all the costs are. And
isn't that crazy though? That when you do a mortgage application, they don't look at all those things. They don't look at how many kids you have, or if they're in private school, or there's so many liabilities that you have that they don't look at. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, well, some of that.
That's why people can qualify for too much house, and that's one of the big. If we have a macro issue right now, I'd say that would be it.
Absolutely.
But there are also some people who can afford a home that aren't, because of the way that DTI is created, and they have plenty of disposable income. So it works both ways.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a deciding factor for a macro problem, but I do think it is an issue with lending is that needs to get cleaned up somehow, because you do see situations like that where someone is qualify. Hey, you're qualified for $600, but they buy a $600,000 house, and now they're so house poor.
Yeah, no, I always, that's really one of my...
One of your missions.
One of my missions
Let's call it that.
when I consult my clients, when I consult them, to really make sure that they're comfortable with it and also have that discussion, because what the lender's doing, what I'm doing is different. And I don't like to show people homes that really stretching their budget. I'd rather start lower and see if they can fall in love with something there rather than start at the high end and then have them be stretched.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a long-term business I'm in. I don't want to just do that one sale. I'd rather sell them something they can grow in, build some equity, and then come back in a couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, that's ideal for my business, right?
Sure, and good for them too. 'Cause
Yeah,
they're in
absolutely.
something they can afford. If they take a hit,
absolutely,
they can still live there.
And that's another reason why I say with people buying a home, to make sure that they really look long-term. Don't have the thought of saying that, well, I'm going to sell in 3 years. What is the market going to look like in 3 years? I mean, I can't tell you that. You need to buy something you can afford for the 30 years if you're getting a 30-year fixed, or like we're seeing now, the 15 years becoming a lot more popular just because of what's happening. You know, with the interest rates going up a little bit, people are switching, and the lender's getting more creative with what products they are offering to people.
They always will.
Of course.
So we're talking under $1 million, 15 corridor, Rancho Bernardo Poway, scripts. For us, what do you think is the right advice for sellers? Because for buyers, you know, it's, hey, get into something you can afford. Know that these rates may not be around forever, like we've been saying.
Yeah.
But what about sellers? I mean, this is one of those things where now all of a sudden the buying pool might have just shrunk a little bit for them. What do you tell somebody who's in that situation?
Well, I like people to look into what their situation is. Do they really need to sell, or what are they doing? I mean, right now I have 3 coming listings. You know, they were waiting kind of right after the election to kind of see. And now they're like, oh, interest rates are going up. Are we still going to get top dollar? So I really think it's important to look at your own situation and what's going on. But yeah, I mean, you can still sell. You're still making a lot of money in San Diego if you own your home for a long time.
So the inventory situation is going to override the interest rate increase?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I really think so. I mean, like you said, I mean, just over the past 2 years, it's half the inventory at the same time of year. So
yeah, that's
insane.
Yeah. 6 weeks of inventory? That's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the season too. People are saying, well, it's the season. And so, yeah, I mean, rightfully so. But then if you put your home on the market now, you're going to have less competition. And even with that really low inventory, you're definitely seeing a lot more traffic.
Yeah, I think I've noticed that just in the people that I talk to through the different shows that we produce and whatnot. That is definitely what I would second that for sellers, that you know, although rates did go up, depending upon the price point that you're in, especially if you're sub $1 million like we're talking, probably not enough to have a huge consequence on what offer you're going to ultimately get, what the home's going to appraise for, et cetera.
Absolutely.
Now, if we see another half point, Now we're talking about a full point, and now from that beginning point, maybe you are going to start to lose some money. So for me, if I was a seller, and I've been saying this for over a year, I'd ring the register right now. If I'm thinking I'm going to sell the next couple of years, or I want to upgrade, or I'm going to move, or I want to do something with the house, I would move right now and let this market, let's see what happens with this market right here, right now.
Yeah, and we'll see. And also, like you said, I mean, if you're a seller and you still need to buy, it doesn't really matter that much because you still need to get into something else, right? So it kind of goes both ways.
Correct.
But I mean, I have people that sell with me and then they rent for a while to kind of see what's happening, and hopefully it's turning into a buyer's market. If we're looking at history in the past, kind of how it's cyclical. And that way, you know, they can buy in 6 months. I mean,
good luck
we don't
to
know.
them. I hope their crystal ball works out.
Yeah, exactly.
Sandra, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
And now it's time for the real estate debate, where we debate the hottest topics in San Diego real estate. Let's meet today's panelists. Guest number 1, real estate advisor for Coldwell Banker West, Gabe Mendez. Guest number 2, realtor for Keller Williams Realty, Neda Benny. Guest number 3, native San Diegan and local real estate expert, Nadia Colucci. And guest number 4, real estate professional for the #1 team in San Diego, according to Wall Street Journal and Zillow, Joe Corbisiero.
All right, welcome to the real estate debate. Thank you all so much for being here today. We've got 2 hot topics, 4 great agents. Let's jump right in. Topic number 1. With all these new laws popping up around San Diego vacation rentals, and vacation rentals are a certain type of property that you can lease out almost like a hotel, buying one is probably too risky until the dust settles. Nadia.
I think if you're going to buy an investment property, regardless of if it's short-term or long-term, you should always take the more conservative approach. That's my recommendation. So you should bank on it renting long-term. If you can do short-term, awesome, bonus, you'll make more money. But I think you should always at least look from the angle of the most conservative approach. So I would say if you can get it long-term, then you're good.
Okay, so if it makes financial sense as a long-term rental,
right,
then get it. And if you can vacation rent, that's the cherry on the top.
Right.
But don't count on it being a vacation rental.
Well, not with everything going on. I don't think so, personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sense.
Well, I think
Gabe?
personally, it's just good to get in while you can, right? If the laws haven't been established, which they haven't, some places they have been, certain cities in San Diego County, but if they haven't been established yet, you know, they're redoing the municipal code for short-term rentals. Hey, get in while you can right now. You know, Airbnb fees are high. A lot of people are making a lot of profit on this. Until things can get cleared out, take advantage of it. And there are parties that are lobbying against these bans. So even if these codes become a little more defined with short-term rentals, I believe it still will be in their favor. So yeah, buy.
Do you think that they're going to be grandfathered in if you get in now before the laws are in effect? Is that the reason why you think it's a good idea?
I don't think they'll be grandfathered in. No. I just think like, hey, look, until those codes are set, whether that's 1 month from now, 3 months, 6 months from now, I don't know. I like to make money. And that's why people purchase property. You know, you can make a lot of money depending where you purchase the rental, but you can make a lot of money in a short-term process. I mean, there's a lot of people who are making more money on a short-term basis than a long-term rental, then a 6-month lease, then a 12-month lease. They're making that in 3 months on short-term rentals. So yeah, purchase the property now. Yeah, it could be a little risky, but you're gonna make money either way. You're not gonna lose on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with Nadia that if you have the money, if you have the resources and the numbers make sense and there's a good return on your investment, do it, even if it's long term. If the laws change, I think I heard it was going to be a minimum 21 days or maximum 21 days where somebody through Airbnb can actually stay in your property. That's still solid, especially around Comic-Con, summertime. San Diego is just a traveling mecca. I mean, people want to come here for any reason. Take advantage of it.
Okay. Joe?
Well, my background is actually vacation rentals. So in Rome, that's what I used to do back in Italy. So I have a lot of experience in that, and there's a ton of money to be made, ton. Especially in San Diego, I was doing calculations such as Coronado, La Jolla, even downtown, though it's pretty limited, and I'll tell you why. You can probably get double what you're supposed to get on a long-term rental doing a vacation rental.
Exactly.
So even if you don't fill out the space for 30 days, and let's calculate 20 to 22 days, which is the average throughout the year, that's a lot of money. So the problem though in San Diego, especially in downtown where I live, you cannot, there's so many limitations. So the HOA won't allow you. And I know the Sunday people are very sneaky about it. So if you go Airbnb, you're gonna know there's a bunch of condos in downtown without an address. You see the picture, you know which building it is, but they don't specify the address. Now, is it going to get better? No. I think they're going to keep limiting, such as in Carlsbad and Cardiff, you can do less than 7 days rental, okay? So I think that's going to be probably worse in the future. Taxation-wise, now, are you aware of the TOT, the 10.5% taxes?
Oh, okay, yep.
Okay, so they came up with this 10.5%. I'm pretty sure that's going to go up. I mean, based on where I come from, from Italy, that's nothing, 10.5%. Especially considering you can get double the rent that you can get for a long-term rental. So the answer is, I think it could be a great investment if you have the money. And I agree with what you guys said and Nadia saying that you should be considering the rental as a long term, and then if you can net more, that's great. It's like a cherry on the cake.
Okay. And I get that, and I think that all makes sense, but a lot of what we're seeing is there are certain properties that are being sold as vacation rental properties. And part of the reason why they are the price that they are is because people are doing the math as a vacation rental. And so those properties, let's talk about those specifically, are those too risky in this environment?
They're selling them specifically as a short-term rental.
Well, yeah, a lot of properties are being marketed that way.
They're marketing it that way.
Yeah, and they're furnished, and hey, it's a short-term rental.
Mission Beach is huge.
Mission Beach. They're in Del Mar, all along the coast, especially. Right. And they're getting a lot of money for these properties because they can say, well, look, you're going to get $200,000 a year in revenue, from this thing, so it's worth $2.5 million.
Right. But it goes back to the original question. You should buy a property with the intent of keeping it that you can't, it makes sense for you long term. So if you can get the bonus, and I mean, a buyer has their due diligence and their investigation period. Hopefully they have an agent who explains it to them that you're buying it on something that's probably not super secure right now. So it's a little risky.
So you would say that's too risky to go in for right now?
Well, I would advise the client, yeah, let's look at the numbers, right? This is the bonus. This would be great if we can get this, but this is what you have to bank on.
Okay.
If you're talking about those specific areas like coastal, which is where a lot of the issues are happening, Pacific Beach, La Jolla, Del Mar, those places, then yeah, I would say sit back, take an assessment. Let's look at all the numbers. Let's kind of wait till everything airs out a little bit, because it looks like it might be happening within the next 90 days. New laws, things changing, being implemented.
Already happened in Del Mar.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
There's
There's certain
just,
places
like,
that are happening.
the
Right.
local
Exactly. Are
areas,
happening.
yeah.
So wait till it airs out a little bit. Find out what happens in Pacific Beach. Let's wait before purchasing in that specific area. But if we're talking San Diego County, I mean, there are other places outside of those specific areas, like the hot places where people want to be, that you can still do it, and that they're not being regulated as hard. I mean, I know if I'm coming in from across the country and I've never been to San Diego, but I can't rent right there on the beach for $250 or $400, well, shoot, I'll Uber a $15 Uber from 15 miles inland, and I'll pay $150 for the night or $100 for the night, and I'll stay there.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a good place also to purchase.
Del Mar's a rare area. It's where I live, and the Del Martians are crazy. I mean, they will hop on.
Hey, I'm one of them.
Are you Del Mar? I thought you were in Solana. So the Del Martians, they're crazy. I mean, especially about little things like this, like the city council and all that stuff. They're nuts. Yeah. I mean, they're going to jump on something and they're going to get it done right away, and they did on this. I don't think other areas in San Diego will be as strict, but you're right. There are other opportunities, especially single family. You know, the high rises and the attached homes. It's more complicated.
Totally,
because of the HOA.
especially when you have an HOA. There's a concierge there 24 hours. I mean, at the Mark, for instance, in downtown, they find somebody $25,000 for that. They flagged it twice. The third time, they give him a fine of $25,000.
But that's where I think that maybe after the first or second time, he should have divided by the whole. At that point,
it's so profitable.
Write
I mean,
the check.
think about it. They charge like for one bedroom $300 and plus per night. I mean, the average in downtown, it's $190, which includes studios. Imagine getting $190 a night for a studio. It's unheard of.
Yeah.
But
you're not going to be able to do it with an HOA, though. That's the
thing.
problem.
So if it's allowed and you can rent out your place, I think it's a little weird if government gets involved and starts impeding you from.
Well, an
making
HOA
money.
shouldn't have a say in how you want to utilize your property.
I don't think so.
I'm on my HOA board, and we have a neighbor that has a limousine company, and he does it out of there, and there's always parking issues, but we can't tell him that he can't utilize his property. Right. So I'm actually surprised that HOAs are
Well, I don't know.
tackling
I mean,
down
I
on
have
that.
mixed emotions on that. Think about it. I mean, when I'm at like the HOA, it's almost $800 a month. Okay, there's all people a certain level.
Yeah.
And imagine if John Doe from whatever gets drunk every night because he's just vacationing in San Diego for 3 nights, and he gets all crazy and music loud up to 3 in the morning, and I have to go to work at 8. That's not fair.
But there's noise ordinances for that already. 10 p.m. You call the cops.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's a ping pong match, because I like what Airbnb is doing right now. They're actually including a lot of new technology where neighbors can get involved now, where they can actually cite the owner of the property who's leasing that property for short term, and they can write a complaint on them saying, hey, look, your Airbnb host is breaking these rules. I have audiovisual proof that this is happening, and they can complain on them. And then Airbnb is now enforcing those rules, saying, listen, we got a complaint from your person at this time. We have proof that this happened. We're going to give you a notice. If this continues to happen, you're not a host anymore. You can't do this. And you can also, as the host, leave a review for that tenant. So if they're breaking these rules that you have set up, no partying, you're paying $800 in this nice place where there's homeowners living, children next door, then I'm going to set a regulation, leave a bad review, so next time you go to rent someone else's place, they're just going to see these low-rated persons. So there's a lot of different things that are happening to protect everyone. And I think this is just such a new, not new, but a newer concept here, that we're still just kind of just ironing out all the details.
Figuring it out.
But I believe in a year or so, we'll get to a place where it's going to benefit everyone. Because I would hate for something like this to go away.
Totally agree.
I agree.
And I will say, I'll take the final word on this one. I would say it's too risky right now to buy a vacation rental for the sake of being a vacation rental.
Depending on the area.
Do exactly what Nadia said, and make sure that it pencils out as a long-term rental as well. All right, topic number 2. Let's jump right in. You should never sell your home in San Diego unless you have to. Home values are just going to keep going up, up, up.
Fun.
I just want to start with this, really, and I'll let everyone take from here, and I'll piggyback off of. This is my thing. If it works for the clients and that's their needs and they want to sell, they're not here because the prices are going to continue to go up and up and up. Advise them, because we're all real estate professionals. Give them our opinion. Hey, look, this has the potential to do this. It's hit this market cap before. Advise them. But if that's what they want to do as a family who wants to retire, move to Mexico, then hey, let them do it. You know, I just think whatever's in the client's best interest is what we should be doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
totally.
It's the client's needs come first. If they need to sell and they have a reason, there's always a million reasons. You got married, you got divorced, you had a child. There's always a reason to buy or sell real estate. If the time is right, do it. If the numbers make sense, do it. And if you think that the prices of homes are just going to continue to go up, there's always a factor that interest rates can go down or go up. And then if interest rates go up, then you're going to see, yeah, exactly. The buying power is going to be less. So you're going to see prices either stabilize or go down again. It's just if the time is right.
So I should preface with this. You know, I talked to someone who gave me the idea for this topic, and this is a real estate investor who was like, "Sell? Why would I ever sell? I just keep buying," and they just keep buying, keep buying.
And if they can afford to do that
Absolutely.
and hold those properties through ups and downs in life, like you mentioned, divorce, death, you know, expanding
power
their
to
families,
you.
whatever it is, hang on to that property as long as you can. I looked at a stat, I think 27 years was a 400% increase in downtown. So if you can hang on to a property for 30 years, do it. I mean, absolutely, you'll see enough ups in there to sell or just hold your asset.
Yeah.
But a lot of people can't afford to keep 10 properties or even 4. So especially here, affordability is a little
Right,
high.
that's true. But I think there's so much to play in the, you know, that's such a broad question. First of all, it's about, are you owner-occupant? Is there an investment property? So if it was an investment property, I'd probably recommend to sell and maybe invest in Sunday 1031 exchange into something that's more profitable. If that's owner-occupant, if it's your primary residency, I would probably look, you know, there's so many things involved. It's not just about what's the appreciation, how much we're going to go up next year in prices. It's not the 2, 3, 4%. So there's so much to play as far as the demographics. And what about the interest rates? Like you mentioned, that's a great thing you said.
It's a huge factor.
So I was talking yesterday to a big player in the mortgage industry here in San Diego, and he said, Joe, we went up from 3.5% to 5%. I'm expecting the next 90 days for people to have a shock because we're not used to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 1.5%. It's a lot of money. We're talking about $150, $200 in the median, average, I should say, mortgage. So, and they're planning to pretty much is going to go up around 6.5%. That's going to be the new standard, he was saying. I believe him. I mean, it's finally time that, these rates are going to go up. So even if the value is going to go up, let's say 3.5%, but the affordability level decreases because the mortgage rates are high, then what?
Right.
You're going to have less people interested in your property because they can't afford to buy the house anymore. So, it's I am always like, I don't like to roll the dice. I know what's happening right now. I think it's a great time to sell still, especially during vacation, during the holidays, Christmas time. The buyers that are on the market right now, they're serious.
Yeah.
They want to buy. They're not doing a bidding war. They're not putting an offer on Gabe's property, on your property, and so forth. If they like one property, they put on property and they stick to it.
Right.
So the answer is yes, if you want to sell, and just go for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Joe hit it right on the nail. It's kind of really just dependent on what the situation is, a client-to-client basis. Figure it out. If they're an investor, if it's owner-occupant, you kind of figure it out from there. Me personally, I like to roll the dice, as Joe says. I would like to, if I've earned equity over the last 2, 3, 4 years on a property, let's sell it. Let's diversify the portfolio now. I had a single-family residence. Now let's go purchase a quadplex and rent 3 of them out. Airbnb. So let's rent the other one. Right, exactly. But let's rent those out now, and let's have it pay for itself, and multiply, grow that portfolio. Add real estate as a big asset of that portfolio, so you can grow your wealth and take care of yourself and your family for your future.
Yeah, no one ever went broke taking a profit. I actually disagree with this as well, because I don't think home values will just go straight up.
No.
They've never done that.
Never.
But they will over long periods of time go up.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're buying a home to live in, if you can buy something that you can live in for a long period of time, let's say 8, 10 years, that's about as safe as an investment is going to get for you.
Right.
You're probably going to make money. In a really bad scenario, if you buy at the absolute top, you'll probably break even when all is said and done. If you pick the worst,
you can hold on.
if you can pick the worst 10-year run anywhere, you're going to see that you're going to about break even in most places. So that's if you absolutely miss, completely whiff.
Right.
Now, if you get lucky, you might make a few $100,000. And if that's the case, now your whole world has changed.
Right.
Right?
Good for you.
Yeah.
if you
Now
did
you
that.
can change everything.
Yeah.
American dream.
Buy the bigger house, buy an
Mhm.
investment property cash, have retirement income coming. There's so many different things you could do. So I do think it makes sense. I do think it makes sense to sell. But remember, when you sell, that's the only time it matters what your home is worth.
Exactly. Know your comps.
It's the only time it matters. You know, if you buy a house and it goes down in value, it does not matter. All it does is lower your taxes. Right. It doesn't actually change anything. House is still there. Everything's still the same. What you bought it for is still the same. What your payment is still the same.
Right.
The only thing that changes is your taxes go down. But for some reason, people freak out.
Yeah, they freak out on that.
They do.
Yeah.
They freak out.
I think if buyers focused a little bit more sometimes on maybe not maxing themselves out with their purchase, just because you're approved for $1.5 million.
Yeah.
We
I agree
could
with you.
find
Yep.
a great home at 1.2. You know, and it allows for some room to weather any kind of storm that comes.
Right.
So there's a little back to that conservative approach. I mean, but people are like, well, wait a second. If the lender told me I can spend $1.5 million, let's go spend $1.55 million. And I'm like, wait, no. Let's not
Then
do
again,
that.
when you're in San Diego and there's no inventory, it's really hard to stay within your budget and not go
Right.
above, especially if you find that dream home and you're like, oh my God, there's 20 other offers on this place, but I want this house. So you go to your max.
Yeah, well, and that I think that's sometimes part of the problem. I want, and you know, I think the wiser investor usually sat back and waited for the right deal to come and then pounced.
Avoid the mania.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, that's like
Take a step back, we'll find it.
there may not be blood in the streets anytime soon in the San Diego real estate market, okay? But we're here for the last time that there was. And so you know what it looked like and what it smelled like and what it tasted like. We know what that was. That was the time to buy. That was the time to buy, to make a lot of money
Earn a lot
in a
of
short
money.
period of time. That was the time. But for a lot of people, that's not what they're doing. They're not sitting around waiting for, you know, the right time to buy. Some investors are, sure.
Yeah.
The savvy investors, they're like, oh yeah, I'll just wait. I'll just wait.
Right.
I'll sit here and wait.
They'll sit and wait.
But a lot of people want to buy because it's part of their retirement strategy, right? And that's really the right way to look at it. If you look at buying a home as part of your retirement strategy, and hey, I want to pay this thing off. I want to have no payment. I want to retire.
Live debt free.
Yeah, and not have a payment. Then it really doesn't matter. What the house is worth never matters. And that's kind of actually part of the point here is that it doesn't matter. If you buy the house for $500, it's worth $100,000. 25 years from now, who cares? If you own it free and clear and you live there and you're happy, then who cares?
If that's the goal, then yeah. I do
You
have
know?
a situation right now where I'm working with a buyer, and they do want to purchase a property, and part of it's as an investment. And we are noticing that some of the areas we're looking in that she's qualified for is that market cap, the most it's ever sold for, is near to where we're purchasing it for now. And now we're thinking, look, you know what? I'm having an advisor. I know you love the home, but I'm looking back 7-10 years on the sales, and we've never hit this mark, even close to this mark. So I don't foresee it happening, you know, as a probability. Not saying it's impossible, but just saying it's improbable that it'll surpass that amount. So we're having that type of situation like, well, okay, well, let me take you out of this neighborhood and move you over here. Let's search over here where properties have the possibility of increasing 50, 60, $100,000 more dollars in equity.
Gabe, what's her plan? Does she want to stay there long term, or is she?
That's exactly the same thing. Yeah, so we sat and we went over her plan, and she wants to sell the property. So I told her the location that she had her heart set on, unfortunately, doesn't have much more room to grow that fits her plan that she wants.
And good for you
in
for being
7-10
honest with
years.
her and advising her that way, because a lot of people are, you know, they're quick to just advise to write the offer and let's just get it closed.
Yeah, you know, but I just want to make sure, you know, everyone out there watching, you know, take that into consideration as well.
Yeah,
What's
fantastic
the cap
advice.
in before.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Gabe. Everyone, Netta, Gabe, Nadia, Joe, fantastic debate. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it. We'll be back again next month, same time, same channel. We will see you then.
That was fun, guys.
Hey, great show, guys. That's a wrap. Jade, what's your schedule look like? Do you mind breaking down the set?
Not today, Derek. I'd love to, but there's waves out there. I gotta go.
No, I can't either. I'm starting to get hangry and I have way too much stuff to do today. Claudia, you've got this, right?
Sure, guys. I would love to. I'll get right to work.